Good morning. I'm in a hotel somewhere in Chandler, Arizona. It's another conference about learning to make better products for you and learning to launch things. It's going to be very fun. And I'm coming to this trip with a lot of new thoughts. I've been working a lot on my thoughts over the last year, and things really feel like they're coming together. Instead of being swayed by hormonal changes each month and going, oh, like this part of the month is really hard, this part of the month is really easy, this kind of feels like the first month where the part of the month that's usually pretty hard, gaining agency over, like I'm gaining control over it. It's a really strange, incredible feeling. But I wanted to share with you what's happening on this trip food-wise and exercise-wise. The conference is a lot of work, like brain work, and I'm actually speaking today for have a 15-minute talk today in front of 200 people, so it's gonna be really exciting. But food-wise, I forgot to do my videos on what I was eating yesterday, but I wanted to share that stuff with you guys, what I'm doing for this trip. So what I had yesterday was, I got here not yesterday but the night before. So I got here on Tuesday night, and I had brought with me, I had a salad from a restaurant that I brought with me. Really, really yummy salad. Hummus and beets sort of as the dressing. So, and it was just full of vegetables. I had a bunch of cooked kale, so I took a bag of kale from the freezer and cooked it. And I was removing the stems as I was cooking it. And then I just had that in the fridge, but I forgot I was going out of town. So I had this whole thing of cooked kale, and I'm like, shoot, what am I going to do with this? So I put a bunch of it into my salad. So I brought that with me. And I brought a bag of snow peas. That's what I had in the fridge. Whenever I travel, my biggest tip is that I maintain the same type of schedule I would if I was at home. So breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, no snacks. Even if your time zones get mixed up, just stick to that. Because you think to yourself, it's not like anything changed in my body, I just traveled, right? So as long as I do 3 meals a day and no snacks, I should be fine. And so I stuck to that on travel day. And then when I arrived, I had the salad with me, and I was really hungry, so I had it actually in the car on the way down to the hotel, and that was all fine. Except I did drop one beet, but luckily I dropped it in a place where it did not stain anything, so that was fine. I got to meet up with some friends, and that was lovely to see them. The next day, which was yesterday, I woke up. They were serving breakfast at the event between 7 and 8, so I went over there, had breakfast, and I knew they were going to have healthy breakfast. This conference I'm going to had good choices last time, so I figured they would have oatmeal at least this time. And I figured it was going to be better oatmeal than what's at the hotel. And so I figured they were going to have steel cut at this event, and they did. So I got a bowl, which was about a cup of steel cut oatmeal with some yellow raisins and cranberries on it, maybe a couple tablespoons, 1 or 2 tablespoons. And then I got a bunch of fruit on the side. So that was my breakfast. And then what I've been doing lately, and this is what I do sort of when I'm on track, but this has been a lot easier lately because I'm used to this, is I'm just telling myself 3 meals a day, no snacks. So even if I get hungry in between, because I usually get hungry after oatmeal, like just a couple hours later, even if I get hungry in between, that's it. It's fine. I'm not going to die. I'll get to lunch. Sure enough, I was really hungry by 10, 11 o'clock. So I had my breakfast. I waited through until lunch, and then lunch they had a taco bar kind of a thing. And so I just took the plate and filled it up with greens. So it was romaine. Then they had a bean and corn mixture, so I put a bunch of that on. They had another set of beans, which was pinto beans, so I put some more of that on. I think they might have had some more vegetables, but I can't remember. And then guacamole. Yeah, there was some roasted red peppers, some guacamole, and I feel like that was it, but I really piled it on, so I knew I would have a nice big meal. It was a lot of beans, so that was good. And then I just had 2 of the corn tortillas. Oh, and then there was a tomato soup, which was vegan. This place, and they note on the cards vegan or gluten-free or whatever, which is so good. And so the soup was vegan, so I just dipped the tortillas in and had that. And then I had planned to go to Whole Foods for dinner on the way back to the hotel. And I have marked out all the different, before I went, I want you to take a look at this screenshot here of my maps on the phone. because the day before I left, I looked at where my hotel was, where I was going to be going, and then where the meeting space was, and then I marked a bunch of different restaurants and Whole Foods in between, so that after I got out and I was hungry, I could just drive straight to a place, which worked out really well. So they had as I assumed, I was starved by 3 p.m. So I happened to bring a Larabar with me and an apple. Thank God. So I just downed that Larabar during the meeting real quick, and it totally held me over, which was great. I'm so glad I had that. So I ended up having a snack, but it was kind of necessity because my mind was starting to really, really crave and go crazy. And so I ended up just having the Larabar. Broke one rule, but it's totally okay because I was thinking of having snacks and all this kind of stuff, and I probably would have had pita chips and all this, and you know, kind of once you open those floodgates, it's a little bit over. And so I just got through that, and then in the evening they had a little reception which had a bunch of roasted vegetables and like a lot of other stuff too, cheese and all that, and meat or whatever. I didn't want any of that, so I just got like a little appetizer plate of a bunch of roasted vegetables. They had like asparagus and all that. Just had a plate of like some olives and some roasted vegetables, and there was some grapes, and then they had these beautiful mushrooms that were sauteed in butter and everything, but had a few of those. So I got my mushrooms in the day, which was awesome. Then I took off a little early, about 6:37, and then just left. I was gonna go back to the hotel, and I was hungry, so I was starting to get to this really hungry place again. So I was like, I'm gonna have one of the apple that I brought for the conference as well. So I ate the apple while I was on my way to Whole Foods, and it was just enough food to calm down that kind of monster, right? So that when I got to Whole Foods, I wasn't craving everything and buying everything or whatever, which didn't happen. I'm so excited. I did hold myself over, and then I was able to just get what I planned for, which was a few Larabars. I'll show you. So here's my bag. I got a bunch of apples, bananas, and then a bunch of Larabars. I think I'm only going to need a few of them, but I got exactly what I need because unfortunately then the hotel fridge froze everything, and there's no adjustment for it in here. So the salad that I had left over, which I was going to have last night, was completely frozen. And then these snow peas that I brought are totally frozen, and also the persimmon that I brought is totally frozen. So I was pretty upset last night when I got home. I was like, darn it. I mean, I guess not home, but back to the hotel, right? I was like, darn it, it froze all my stuff. It's because I was gonna have that leftover salad that I brought from the day before, even if it was kind of mushy or whatever. I was still gonna eat it. I was so hungry. And then I was like, well, let me just try some of these. Guys, frozen snow peas are so freaking good. What? Oh my gosh, such a good snack. They were so sweet and delicious, especially if you're starved. Oh my God, so good. Anyways, so then I went to bed, just got up. I'm gonna try to do a little bit of a workout, just some weights before I hop in the shower and go to my conference again this morning. I'm gonna do the same thing for breakfast because that's what they have, and then whatever they have for lunch, and then the plan is Whole Foods again tonight, and we'll see how things go, but I'll try to remember to videotape things today, okay? See you soon. Actually, I guess the fitness center is on the 4th floor, so it looks like I'm doing the stairs. Hey guys! Alright, I know you can't see me very well, but you can see a nice little palm tree back there. It's dark out. We just got out of the conference, and I wanted to give you an update on today, which is the second day. So you saw my little breakfast there. I used mindset techniques to get through to lunch because I was really hungry. I just basically told myself that I could do it and it would be okay, I wouldn't die. So then we had lunch, and I had more lunch this time than last time because I realized it wasn't enough yesterday because I was starved by like 3. So I did a big salad, and then they had a bunch of beans again. They have vegan options, so it's wonderful. I did a little bit of dressing, bunch of roasted vegetables, and then yeah, that was it, but it was just a huge plate of food. I put way more vegetables on it this time, and then some water. And then I did the same as I did last time, which was around 3 or 4 I had a Larabar. So I ended up having a little snack to get me through. It's like basically just nuts and fruit. I got one little tip that I used yesterday was when I was buying the bars, I made sure to only get flavors that I don't like, they don't set me off. So I didn't get like the chocolate or the nuts or like hazelnut or chocolate chips or anything like that. I just got the ones that were good but not my favorites, right? Like lemon flavor, blueberry flavor, stuff like that. And it was so good anyways, but it didn't set me off at all. So that was, I think, a good move. Now we're on our way to another reception, and I know they're gonna have some food probably and a bunch of wine. I don't drink anymore, so I don't care so much about the alcohol. But I kind of wanted to have dinner before, but I think I'm sure they're gonna have some vegetables and stuff, so that'll be the bulk of my dinner. And keeping in mind with the idea of a really small, light dinner, I'm just gonna work on that. And so what I did yesterday, which I think is one of the best tips, is I brought some fruit with me. So I have an apple and I have a banana. And I was in the car, and it's a pretty long drive. It's like a 45-minute drive. So I thought, should I stop at Whole Foods and get something? What should I do before we go to this reception? And I started to look at the map, and I started to imagine myself at Whole Foods. And I was really, really hungry. So my brain started craving, and I was like, oh, I should just get a sandwich. I've done so well the last day, couple days of traveling and stuff. I should just get a sandwich and just fill up my belly, right? And then I was like, I can see that crazy making thinking starting, which is what leads to, you're kind of like, oh, let me go to Whole Foods and see what they have, right? And then you end up getting the cookies and the crackers and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I'm not gonna fall for that trap. I'm going to feed myself now so that I don't feel too crazy. I'm gonna get rid of the hunger, just take the edge off, I'm gonna have the banana, I'm gonna have the apple. I actually already started having the banana a second ago, and I'm gonna take that edge off the hunger completely so that when I arrive at this other event, I won't feel crazy at all. I'll be totally satisfied, and then I'll just add on some more vegetables or whatever, and then I'll be done for the night. So I'm gonna do kind of an early night because I don't like to stay out very late, and so I can go home, talk to the family, and then just rest. And I've been going to bed by 9 here, which is early for me, 9 Vegas time, which is 10 Phoenix time right now. So really early, which is nice. I've been getting great sleep, which means I was able to get up this morning and do a little bit of a workout. I just did 15 minutes. So that's kind of how I'm dealing with this today, and I'm just going to work to try to have the same kinds of routine this whole trip, and just keep working on the mindset part of it. That like, I don't need the sandwich, I don't need the carb part, I don't need the flour and the extra bread or whatever. Just the salad is fine, right? The light dinner is fine, the oatmeal breakfast is fine, and this is it. So, all right, day 2 is so far a success. Check this out. They have our own quote-unquote meat station with black bean chickpea burgers and ginger carrot puree. I'm gonna get several of these. Nice. Hey guys. Wow, so we're staying at this this event was at this really amazing, beautiful resort called the Sheraton at Wild Horse Pass. So beautiful. The moon is out, the crickets are chirping. Where I live in Vegas is pretty busy, so it's so nice to just be out in the middle of the desert in a peaceful place. We had a really nice networking event. There were these black bean little burger patties with chickpeas and stuff and corn. Oh my gosh, so good. And they had this amazing like carrot ginger, well, you guys saw it, so good. So I ended up having 4 of those. They ran out of the carrot stuff for the second 2 that I had. Then they also had these vegan gnocchi, but oh my god, there must have been an accident with the salt shaker, because they were inedible. And we're not talking from a nutritarian perspective. Like everyone else who ate them, there were just like plates full of gnocchi that nobody had eaten, just way too salty, totally gross. So I didn't have any of those, which is probably all for the best anyways. But so I had 4 of those. And so earlier I had a banana, an apple, and a Lara bar. And I drank a bunch of water, and I was waiting for it to kind of settle in, but I was still hungry. So the coolest, weirdest thing has been happening to me in the last few months, which is that I actually have regular hunger signals and regular satiety signals. So I, for the first time in my life, have been able to trust like my hunger signals, that when I'm actually hungry, it means I just need to eat a little bit more. And so I ate what I needed, and then when I was done, I was finished, and that was it. This is something that's never happened to me before. So I've always been the kind of person that, there would be always an urge to binge afterward. I would always have an urge to binge while eating. And it's just been so transformative lately to be able to trust what my body is telling me. That if it's telling me to eat a little bit more, it's not going to tell me to eat everything.
that I'm actually going to get a signal to stop at some point. And that signal is incredible when your body starts to kind of have a normal response to food. It's a signal that's so subtle, but what it does, and for those of you who've always eaten well, you'll be like, wait a minute, you weren't always like this? What do you mean? Like, right? But for those of us who are coming from the place that I was of binge eating and eating disorder and that sort of a thing, to get an actual signal of you're full is literally just like it used to taste good and now it doesn't taste good anymore. Like you used to want some and now you don't want any anymore. Like just magically, you just have no more desire for that food. It's the weirdest, most amazing thing that our bodies are supposed to do. And I'm talking about it as if it's an alien concept because it always has been for me. Like never have I gotten correct signals unless it was after a binge. Like I would have had to eaten way too much food, very low, it was always low nutrient food that I ate anyways, and I would just have to eat such massive quantities to get to a place of being full. Like that was where my stopping point was, fullness, right? Not a signal in the brain. That's what's like freaking me out, and it's so beautiful. Like every time it happens now, it happens every single day now, where I get a signal where suddenly I was eating a thing and it was so delicious, and then I continue eating it and then I don't want it anymore. It ceases being delicious, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like how could it be so so delicious when I started eating and now I just don't want anymore? And then when I started noticing this, I was like, wait a minute, this is what it's supposed to be like. So I wanted to mention that because with the veggie burgers, yeah, just getting that signal after I had 4, because they were small, and I had a workout this morning and everything, and I didn't eat a ton for dinner because my salad was frozen. So I needed to have a little bit more food, and my body just like told me to. It was crazy. So I wanted to talk about this because I haven't really mentioned this yet, that I've been having normal body signals the way they're supposed to be. And I really feel like because I'm getting to this point of like healing. I'm gonna go back to the hotel now and go to sleep. Talk to you later. Bye. Have a good night. A note about oatmeal. Oatmeal is typically the choice that you can find for breakfast, no matter where you go. Like Whole Foods has smoothies and stuff, and I could have done that. I might do that another morning, but they're typically not how I would make them, so I like my smoothies more. So I usually go with oatmeal when I'm out. I've had oatmeal at so many different places. Starbucks is kind of it's not a really great option for oatmeal, but a lot of the times it's the only thing you can find really easily. They add a lot of sodium to their oatmeal. I mean, I've never seen a nutrition facts label, but it just tastes terrible. If you eat just the oatmeal, it's super salty. I think that they do that because they want you to add more sweetener to it, like you add more sweetener to the coffee and stuff. And I find it pretty inedible without sweetener. I mean, I'll eat it, but also it's not steel cut, or it's I'm pretty sure it's instant, which means that a lot of us have issues with after eating oatmeal, we get hungrier sooner. And it's the same thing with the Starbucks oatmeal. Since it's instant, it only lasts in the stomach for like an hour or 2, and then you're starved again. They do add some nuts and seeds, which are not salted or anything like that. I think they might be roasted, but not too big of a deal. Then you can also get some fresh blueberries sometimes, and but then you can get some dried fruit a little bit too. So it's kind of like that if you have no other option. Another place I like to go is Jamba Juice. They have steel cut oatmeal, but I'm pretty sure that the milk they use is sweetened milk. So, because it tastes really good. Honestly, if you eat something and it tastes, oh my gosh, it either has salt, sugar, and oil in it, and it's not nutritarian. But these are for when you're traveling, right? Like you can't find anything else. These are kind of okay fast food options that I've found. Does anyone else know of a good place to get oatmeal? That's a fast food option. So Whole Foods is my go-to if it's possible, right? If it's around. So I actually drove 15 minutes this morning to come here and get oatmeal, even though the hotel has oatmeal, because it's the same situation in the hotel. It's Quaker instant or rolled oats, maybe, I'm not sure, but it's not, I'm pretty sure it's instant. I don't know, I'm not sure which one, but either way, I prefer steel cut more because it sits in the belly a little bit better and it just is heartier. And so I drove here to get oatmeal this morning, got a bunch of fresh fruit, which is really nice. That was another reason I wanted to come to Whole Foods, to get actual good fresh fruit, because hotel fresh fruit is typically, not so good. And so came in here for some oatmeal, got that. I think that's really the best option, but I wanted you guys to comment down below if you have any really good places that seem to have straight up just steel cut oatmeal available. You can usually go to a restaurant and find that, but I don't have time for that. So if there's any kind of faster options that you guys know of for oatmeal, let me know.
Morning. It's a little chilly this morning and I'm at Whole Foods again. I'm getting the same thing, which is the oatmeal and the fruit. I got same kind of fruit and the same exact oatmeal from yesterday. I can't open this. Same stuff. So I got a little bit of cranberries, pumpkin seeds, and sliced almonds. And then I got the fork and spoon, napkins. I'm gonna have some breakfast. There's weird things happening in my mind, which are very welcome and very wonderful. But they are, it's hard to explain, but it's exciting, and it's where we need to go to get to where we need to be. When Dr. Furman talks about getting to that weight that you are supposed to be at without any effort, that's where this is going, this feeling. The feeling, it's a feeling of security, calm, peace, confidence, which is the feeling that is the feeling we have to have going forward forever with this lifestyle if we are to be successful. Because when we are coming from food addiction or we're coming from being overweight or whatever, typically our feelings are worry, concern, pushing really hard, willpower, determination, rather than cool, calm confidence. And so that's where I am right now, which is incredibly freeing, and it feels wonderful because my thoughts have changed. So I kind of look at it like chipping away at an iceberg. You got this iceberg that you got to chip away at. Some of it's going to melt. Some of it you have to actually chip away at physically. It's really big. You got to figure it out. It's all of your thoughts that tell you that you can't do this. And then there's a moment where you just start choosing whatever thought you want. And so I'll give you an example. When I was in there, I'm getting my oatmeal and stuff, and I walk past the other stuff. And there's a lot of food in Whole Foods, right? There's a bunch of fruit and a bunch of, you kind of walk through the whole store to get there. There's bars, there's drinks, there's all this kind of stuff. There's a whole breakfast bar, so there's potatoes and bacon and some ham that looked really good and whatever. And the thought process is, I'm just going to have my oatmeal. The oatmeal is the best for me. I really just want that. I don't need to be confusing myself with other stuff. I don't need to be confusing myself with just a few bites of that, even if it wouldn't necessarily do any harm technically. I just don't even need to go there. I'm just going to have the oatmeal. Then the mind goes, well, the oatmeal doesn't taste as good as the meat. And then the mind goes, exactly. And that's why you get the oatmeal, because you eat the oatmeal, you're not addicted to it, you just eat it, and it's like, great, okay, move on. Then there's that thought that comes in that's, if I eat the oatmeal, I'm going to be hungry just a couple hours later. I'm going to have to eat more. I should eat more of this. And now the thought is, yeah, so what, you're hungry a couple hours later as opposed to having a smoothie. So what? So you're hungry a couple hours later, then you are hungry for a while, and then you have lunch. So what? You don't have to fix it. You don't have to do anything about it. It could be a glycemic response, probably, but so what? I know that 1 full cup of oatmeal plus all these nuts and seeds and this fruit is a wonderful meal to have. It's great. It's perfect. It's enough. And that's it. Being hungry isn't a fear anymore, right? I always used to be so afraid of hunger. I have a lot of videos from the past about that too. Fear of hunger. But now it's like, so what if I get a little hungry? No big deal. Then my lunch, you guys saw yesterday's salad was probably 3 times what I showed you because I had already eaten some of it before I remembered to take a little video of it. And people look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm piling on the greens in the beginning. I'm taking 4 or 5 massive scoopfuls, and they're like, wow, that's a big salad. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And I often will get to the end of lunch and I'm still chewing. I've got a little bit to go and I've got to kind of hurry because everyone else has been done. Their plates are cleared. So what? That's what I choose, right? So this calm, confident, no willpower required. That's the point I want to make too.
this isn't willpower. This is choosing the thoughts in the moment. So as the thoughts come in, some of them are supportive, some of them are not. And it's just being like the authority over those thoughts, right? Like getting to use the adult side of the brain and going, I don't have to believe the thought that says that I'm going to be hungry and that I need to panic about that, right? I don't have to believe that. Like, it's not a big deal. Just be hungry for a little while, right? Or I don't have to believe the thought that oh, it's important to have a lot of taste, right? It's not. So then the brain goes, no, actually, it's not important. You've had many meals that were kind of like, whatever, it's fine. Like this oatmeal, not my favorite flavor in the world. I would love to put the maple syrup in it because it's just delicious, right? But that's exactly why I'm not putting maple syrup in it, because it doesn't do anything for me. And in fact, it just makes me want to eat more of it. I think that's something you notice when you start the nutritarian diet, where you have a soup or you have something that's kind of bland and you're like, wow, this is really bland compared to other soups. And then you're like, oh, that's the point. Because I'm not supposed to want to eat a ton of this. I'm supposed to want to eat just what I need and then be done. Okay, time for breakfast. Gotta go.
Hey guys, so I'm back in the hotel room for the evening. It's about 6:45 and I went to a movie today. I kind of played hooky a bit. You know, when I come to these conferences, sometimes it's just too much. I have to take a little break. But I did have lunch. I attended one of the sessions and I had lunch there. And I had another massive salad. Forgot to take a video of it. I was really hungry when we went to eat. It was delicious though. Romaine, they had some more beans. They had raw onions and a saute with mushrooms in it. So I got all of my G-bombs in today because I had blueberries in my oatmeal too. And nuts and seeds in the oatmeal too. So that was pretty cool. And it was delicious, but I am so full right now. It's like 4 hours later and I'm still so stuffed. Which is cool because, you know, I'm not going to have anything else to eat tonight because I'm not going to need anything because I feel so full. It's so nice to be so satisfied with plants. Everybody looks at me funny when I have my salads at the table, and it takes me the longest of anyone I know to eat. And I wanted to mention, I'm going to go home tomorrow, so I'm going to go to Whole Foods, get the oatmeal again, have that for breakfast on the way out to the airport, and then we'll probably get together when they pick me up from the airport and go out to get lunch, but I'll probably just get the salad I usually get, so that'll be fun. But I wanted to make a little note about, I kind of pinpointed what's different in my mind right now, like the thought that's different, which I think is changing everything. So today, when I was coming home to the hotel, or coming back to the hotel, I was, you know, they have cookies out in the lobby. I started to think, yes, I would like some cookies. Maybe I should have some cookies. Maybe I should have some cookies. And I was like, what am I trying to avoid here? Like, what's the emotion that I'm trying to avoid? So I was going through some things that were going through my head and thinking to myself, well, I'm going to have to go through those things anyways. So the cookies aren't necessary. It'll just distract from the other things that I'm thinking about, blah, blah, blah. But then I started to think to myself, like, I don't know if that's enough to get me to stop having the cookies tonight because I really want them. And then this is the thought that comes into my head that I notice comes into my head now that's making it so much easier. So there's this saying, I think it comes from like the 12-step programs. I'm not sure, but anyways, it's, you know, old knowledge, but I think they say it a lot in those programs where they say something like, when the pain of not changing is greater than the pain of changing, you'll change, right? Like when the pain of what you're doing is big enough, that's when you're finally going to change, right? So the thought that's been coming into my head was like, I imagined myself having a cookie, one cookie. I was like, imagine myself going up to the plate of cookies, getting one. Then I imagined my food addict engage, right? If you're not a food addict, you maybe don't know what I mean, but everyone I think who has food addiction issues like me is gonna totally get this. You get up to that plate of cookie, and as you're, like when you've made the decision to have a cookie, even before you get up to the plate, all these thoughts start, it's like this cacophony of rapid thoughts just take over. Immediately just take over. And all of a sudden, all the thoughts are, well, you can't have just one, you gotta have as many as you can. So how can you get a bunch? Maybe no one will be at the counter and you can take several of them. Maybe you can get a napkin and take a few in and kind of do like a cute little smile and then grab a bunch and walk away. And then maybe later on, there's gonna be someone else working there and you can get some more. How can you get more and more and more of these cookies? And I noticed that it's the light switch, the addiction light switch just flipped on. And my next thought was, that's not worth it. One cookie is not worth that. That is the thing that has changed in the last, I guess a couple weeks or something. I think my brain, because even at lunchtime, there has been flour tortillas, there's been bread and little corn muffins and all these different, flour products and stuff like that. And I see them and I didn't realize that's the thought that's been, like today I chose a couple of corn tortillas to go along with my salad. They weren't that good. I didn't mind having them because they weren't addictive at all, like not even a little bit. But there was flour tortillas there and I passed right by them. And now I realize what that thought was. I passed by them because for a split second there, my brain realized exactly what it was going to feel like if I took one. If I just made the decision to take one, not even taking one, but just the decision to take one, is this thought process that's like, no, I don't want to feel that anymore. I don't have to feel that ever again. I don't have to be that person. And it was like this calm peace just came over me, like, I don't have to believe that that is my only choice anymore. I don't have to believe that I'm powerless against this crap, because I'm not. I can just keep walking. I think that's something that I differ a little bit with when I think of the 12-step programs. I think they're wonderful for so many people. In fact, my brother used them, so I think they're great. I just think that there's a point at which we get to realize, and this is the beauty of living, we get to realize that the choices are ours. They're always ours. Every choice, even if we're like hardwired, even if we're, we have conditioning like Pavlov's dog to crave things, whether it's drugs or alcohol or food or sweets or whatever, whether we're conditioned or not, even in the peak of our conditioning, even in the peak of our addiction, we still have the choice. We always have the choice. Even if it feels like we don't, we still do. And when we can start operating from the place that the future us who has this all figured out, the moment that we can start operating from that place is the moment everything changes. And so I think that's what's been happening, where I finally believe the advice that in order to change, you have to act that way now. Like, not like, oh, I'm going to do it next week, You have to act that way now, and you have to act that way every time. So you can recondition, like decondition and newly condition yourself to be the type of person who just always makes those choices that are in line with what you're interested in. It's a lot of thoughts to work through and to change, but it's worth, oh my gosh, it's worth millions. Like, if someone told me 15 years ago in the height of this that I could fix it all, like right up here, that it could be fixed by me over the course of years, right? Like through the Eat to Live diet, through getting enough nutrients, detoxing the body, losing the weight, and then working on the mindset piece, right? Like if someone told me that I could pay for that and it could work, right? Like this is what I talk about with my coaching. This is it. It really is. It's all in our thoughts and how we interpret whether we have power over situations or not, right? Are we in control or not? We always are. We are just choosing to habitually think that we're not. By the way, we're also told that we're not. So it's not really our fault, right? Because of so many reasons. Like I was going by McDonald's the other day and I saw advertisement on their window that said something like cravings don't take a break or something, right? Because they're open all night. This was a 24-hour McDonald's or something, and the window said something like cravings don't take a break. And I'm like, yeah, because you don't really let them, right? Like we don't let them. McDonald's doesn't let them, right? They know exactly what business they're in. The addiction business, literally. And yeah, so just some interesting thoughts I was having tonight. Some realizations about what I think the most powerful thought is that I've been repeating lately without even really knowing it, is that very visceral putting myself back in the position of what it would be like if I said yes to the thing. And I just don't want to feel that crazy anymore. I don't want to feel that out of control thing that says, Cheri, you can't handle yourself around this thing. You're going to have all of it. And then you're going to figure out ways to get more, and there's going to be a bunch of shame and whatever. And I just haven't been choosing that lately. Thanks for listening to what I had to say. That's about it for this trip. I'm going to go home tomorrow and I'm going to be with my little family and readjust to the home routine and somebody not making my salads every day. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. So thanks for following along with me. I know this was really long, but I hope you got something out of it. Let me know down below in the comments if and what you got out of this. What was the thing that kind of struck you the most? Have you ever had this kind of relationship with your thoughts before? Let me know what you think about this stuff. And of course, as always, subscribe, like, check me out on Patreon if you like this kind of stuff. There's more where this came from, also some personal stuff as well. And I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!